Hello everybody and welcome to Parks Bros. It's Drew here, and today, for day 4 of Listmas 2023, let's count down my top 10 B&M coasters that I've ever ridden. That's right, on the 4th day of Listmas 2023, I'm bringing out my top 10 B&M roller coasters, some of the most iconic and eye-catching as well as numerous rides at theme parks all over the world, with all 10 of these rides actually being in my top 50 coasters of all time, which will be the final day of Listmas, wink wink, so make sure to subscribe to see that. But without further ado, let's count down my top 10 B&Ms. This one's gonna surprise quite a few of you, I'm sure, as this is actually more of a hated coaster than loved. This is Rugaru at Cedar Point. This ride originally opened in the 90s as Mantis, a stand-up coaster that was actually fairly beloved. Then in the mid-2010s, it was converted to a sit-down roller coaster rethemed to Rugaru, which if you did not know is realistically a werewolf from the swamps of Louisiana. And this ride boasts multiple inversions, a really interesting straight drop, and some really great whipping turns that make it stand out from other B&Ms. This ride is fairly intense, with multiple gray out moments, a lot of lateral forces, and it even uses its cookie cutter elements in a brand new way. This is one of my favorite B&Ms. Sorry it's in my top 10, but not really. It's so much fun, especially in the back row. Although I will say, if you're a little bit on the shorter side, most of these rides might not be great for you. At number 9, I'm probably gonna get some more hate on this as I put in another ride from Ohio, this time at Kings Island. This is where Diamondback sits in my top 10 B&M list. This much beloved B&M hyper coaster takes you up and down and up and down and up and down again with a couple of helixes thrown in. This ride focuses on airtime as well as scenery, and it does a spectacular job at both. However, I like variety a little bit more, so that's why it doesn't rank a little bit higher in this list, but all of those parabolic hills give some amazing floater airtime, just lifting you out of your seat for multiple seconds at a time. This ride is almost relaxing for me, and I love it a lot, I really do. It just isn't near the top of this list. Now at number 8, we're actually staying in Ohio, this time for Gatekeeper up at Cedar Point. This is a wing coaster, meaning that you're sitting off to the side of the track. So this is the first coaster we've mentioned where you're not just sitting on top of the track. This ride is incredibly scenic, especially in its first half, with some amazing views of Lake Erie, and it has an incredibly varied layout that keeps my attention a little bit more than Diamondback. It starts with a bang, with the first drop actually being an inversion, and the many inversions following, sometimes leading to near miss elements where it makes you feel like you might lose a limb, as well as some nice positive G's thrown in every once in a while. This ride is literally called Gatekeeper for a reason, and I love it so much that it interacts with the front entrance gate. The only thing I could say bad about this ride is I wish it was a little bit longer, but then again, I'd say that with most of the rides on this list. Including the next coaster at number 7, we have another B&M hyper coaster, Mako at SeaWorld Orlando. This is going to be another hot take for coaster enthusiasts, as it's not higher up on my list. However, I do think this layout is a lot more interesting than Diamondback's, which while technically isn't necessarily true, I do think the elements give more power, the sensations you feel are a little bit more jarring, and therefore to me, more interesting. This is another one of those rides where you're just going up and down with that amazing floater airtime feeling, and there's some wonderful scenery with you racing by Kraken, another ride at the park, as well as a lake in the center of the ride's layout. This ride is easily one of the ones that I could ride probably 100 times in a row without feeling any fatigue, which is the complete opposite of number 6, which is at the same park. This is Manta. This B&M flying coaster is kind of insane. It puts you face down into a flying position before heading out of the station. That's all before encountering the first inversion, which is a front flip, a pretzel loop that puts you directly on your back while facing multiple G's, and it's probably the closest feeling you could get to being in a spaceship. Outside of the really intense moments all over this ride, there is some incredibly tranquil spaces, especially with the surrounding theming and atmosphere, that just really makes this ride incredible to me, especially that splashdown moment at the end of the ride is super eye-catching as well as interesting while on ride. This is a ride that I would actually say is probably my favorite at all of SeaWorld Orlando. Coming up at number 5, we have another B&M flying coaster. It's at my home Six Flags park, Six Flags Magic Mountain. It's Tatu. Realistically, envision Manta, but almost twice as tall. It does almost everything that Manta does, just a tiny bit better. It's more graceful, it's more powerful, and it's more terrifying too. It's easily one of the best rides in the world, and definitely vies for that top spot when it comes to flying coasters too. And that pretzel loop, oh my goodness, if I thought the one on Manta was powerful, this one is even crazier. Keeping the thought of positive G's in our minds, unlike the blood that rushes away from them when we experience positive G's, this is the first B&M inverted coaster on the list, Banshee at Kings Island. Realistically, take the scale of Tatu and put it alongside the classic B&M invert style. This ride can become unhinged with its positive G's, while transitioning in a way that's butter smooth in between elements. Add in that creepy theming as well as the woods at your doorstep. This ride is easily one of the best at Kings Island. Now at number 3, we're going to head back to Florida, except this time we're going to Busch Gardens, Tampa for their inverted coaster, Manta. This ride has everything that Banshee does, except it puts it on a smaller scale. That, and you add in some cool trench theming with this Egyptian idea that they're going with, and you get tons of near miss moments as well as amazing opportunities for pictures. This ride is something I wish I have gotten to experience more. However, it is truly remarkable that it made the impact that it did on me within just a handful of rides. It is simply, in my mind, the best B&M inverted coaster that I've been able to check out thus far. However, I do hope to see that change maybe soon. For number 2 on this list, we're actually going to be staying in Florida. I really feel like we've been bouncing between Florida and Ohio a lot in this list, as we're heading to Universal's Islands of Adventure for the Incredible Hulk coaster. This is the first and only launch coaster by B&M on this list. Sorry, Thunderbird, you just missed out, as it launches you at an inclined angle directly into a 0G roll, a Cobra roll, and a vertical loop. This combo of elements alone vaults this up so high in my rankings, as it is seriously one of the most powerful moments of positive G's out there. However, you add in the incredible theming that Universal put to it, as well as that audio track that's playing throughout the entire ride, and man oh man, you have a winner on your hands. Even though the second half of this layout might not be stronger than some of the other rides on this list, its recent retracking made it fairly smooth, and again, that audio makes a huge difference on any ride. It also has a little bit of that 90s B&M charm that I absolutely adore. However, it is not enough to be my number 1. Going back to, you guessed it, Ohio, we're heading to Kings Island for their Giga Coaster, Orion. This thing blew my socks off, time and time again. Orion, in my mind, is a masterpiece. Not only is it my favorite B&M coaster, it's also a top 10 ride for me, and that's pretty easily so. This ride starts with a 300-foot tall drop that gives you some crazy airtime, as it also has an 85-degree descent. So you're not just lifted out of your seat, you're thrown. There's some immaculate positive G's following this at multiple points of the ride, as well as some incredible ejector and floater airtime. The finale helix is easily one of the best moments in all of Ohio, as well as just feeling the speed of 90 plus miles an hour in wind. There's some decent theming involved with the ride, however, it really kicks it up a notch at nighttime with an immaculate light display that makes every ride even more disorienting. Out of the entire list, this and Hulk are easily the rides that I can't wait to go back and experience again, but Orion had to take the top spot on this list. And heck, maybe I'll be able to ride the taller and faster versions of the B&M Giga Coasters soon, and we'll see how Orion stacks up. Anyway, I wanted to say thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Day 4 of Listmas is officially over, at least for 2023. So we still have a good 8 days left. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't to see all of those. But I do have a question for you. Would you like to see how I rank the other manufacturers of coasters? Let me know down in the comments. But again, I wanted to say thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, we'll see you on the next ride.